not one who watched a magician's life, knew or understood that it was in fact my epitaph, essentially my obituary.
But you are alive, and your mother and father are gone, and Volodar is gone.
In the end, it turned out that it wasn't me who died, it was my city. My childhood city died. It was wiped out. So to say that I was wrong, no, I wasn't. I had seen my own death. Everyone who follows the way of personal self-improvement, who knows his mission in this life, dies more than one time. Each stage of his life represents a birth followed by death. A person dies in order to be born completely different.
Magician Ingwar, Kiev, 2016.
I really wanted to call a demon and show that spiritual powers exist. I really wanted this. I wanted to prove to the whole world that magic exists, magic works. As a scientist, I wanted to show this. Magician and scientist, religion and magic are in one creative synthesis for me.
Everything that this man does can be called such way: simplicity, openness, and ease. Even his harsh statements, reaction to the straight-talk behavior of another person, and attempts to provoke conflict are not acid-coated with arrogance or a superiority feeling. This man is transparent and has an open mind in any situations. At least I saw him such way.
Olga Voidovich, reporter. Fragment of Magician Ingvar book review. For human immunodeficiency virus person's help, I want you to live.
They wanted to put me in prison. I run away from security service of Ukraine. The money were ready and marked. But Ingvar is innocent. Ingvar has no hand in it. So professional persons work to crush Ingvar. What did I do? Igor, you must to destroy the system, I said to myself. Athene is a dream. Surely it is a dream, and dream from my childhood. So, if I had realized this dream based on herbal tea Athene in 2009, but now there is capsule, tab, soft extract, dry extract.
But how Anatoly Mikhailovich Kashparovsky was involved in it?
He was a god. He was a god. And surely I came under influence of that god of intellect. He is a man of great depth. And we are friends still. A great depth. I have made what I worked for. I have opened the way to knowledge for those who seek it. But the way to knowledge is not conceivable without accepting and realization of fundamental truth, the constant self-improvement, the constant struggle with his weak and contradictory essence and victory over oneself. It is the beginning of the way. There is no other beginning, and without the realization of this truth, further progress into the world of magic, into the world of power, has no sense.
Magician Ingwar, article from Sum Up the Results, 2012.
Only full booby, or silly man, doesn't believe in reincarnation. I am a psychiatrist, I am a surgeon, I visited about 18 locations in planet Earth, and when I came into deep contact with Hinduism and Buddhism, where the idea of reincarnation is not even discussed. Artificial intelligence has no future. This is my shocking statement and forecast. People will go out of their mind more, much more, and artificial intelligence will not do anything about it. The temple of inner faith, everything else is meaningless. The term magic that I teach, it has patented definition, authorial patented certificate. Magic is the highest level of ability, meaningly and self-contained, to control your own life events. Friends, this unique film, it is my life. It is history of my life, truly, honest, and it shows how Ingvar, your present correspondent, grew. His person exactly has 5 periods of growth, and you will see this through this film. So, you know Ingvar who was a doctor, you know Ingvar who is a magician, you know Ingvar who is a herbalist, you know Ingvar who is a writer, but I want you to see how I transformed, how I grew, because I have changed too, and this film is the story of my changes. It will give you an understanding of what Ingvar is like today. Because I have changed so much, America has transformed me very much, my friends. You need to be an adult, you need to be ethical, you need to be moral, you need to be humane, and that's what Ingvar is like today. And my family comes first for Ingvar, and this film is clear confirmation of that. And my students should know what I went through, what steps I made to be Ingvar today, the magician you know, and the film that you are watching today.
Hello, friends. Today I meet with my friend, teacher. A man, which I've known for a very long time and about whom it's impossible to speak definitively. Igor Bambushker, the magician Ingvar. For some types he is a scientist with an H-index of 6 on Google Scholar, the author of over 200 scientific papers, a surgeon and psychiatrist. To others he is a charlatan and arms dealer. Igor worked his way from a poor boy from Ugladar to a wealthy man, from a surgeon to the founder of a religion of magicians. He teaches success, wears a $20,000 watch, writes scientific articles, and believes in reincarnation. He has 4 children, 80 books, hundreds of students, and many enemies the same.
Hello, Oleg?
Igor, the last time I see you 8 years ago. The full-scale war was not at that time. Crimea, although, was not ours. And you'd just returned from the States.
Yes, unique times. I arrived as a renewed person. Mature Ingvar started in 2017. I came back from the States with a glow in my eyes. I saw many things in America. I realized many things for myself, and in particular, that I don't want to be in America. I want to be in Ukraine, I returned. Why? Because I began to feel like America wasn't mine. Why wasn't it mine? Because after spending 7 years of my life trying to validate my psychiatry degree, I realized that I didn't have 7 years to live. I spent 2 years in America, and you caught me at just such a moment. I wanted to declare this to the space and fix myself at this level. In 2017, I remember that time well. I rewatched that interview before our meeting, and I didn't like the way you asked about what will be in Ukraine. I said nothing good. I wanted to be wrong, but happened that I wasn't.
What do you think about Ukraine? Is there a better tomorrow?
Nothing good awaits Ukraine in the coming years.
I see, okay.
It's a sad story. Nothing good awaits. And I want to be, in these difficult times, I want to be in Ukraine. I don't like the forecasts I made. Don't like that they came true. It's very unpleasant. I like to predict and anticipate good things that motivate people. There is war now. Our country is at war. And I see what is happening in the Ukraine now, and I don't want to talk about the war. I want to talk about those specific moments that can help every Ukrainian feel better, lighter, and sleep peacefully. Because shells are flying. We are in Kiev, but shells are flying. I woke up, there was a massive shelling. I woke up, they were shooting. Bang, bang, bang. I looked, the child was sleeping. I prayed, thank God the child is sleeping. If you really have a gift for something, then its presence is a fact. No one asked you, and no one will ask you whether you want to have it or not. It was given to you, and this is your destiny. You have no choice whether to have this gift or not. You don't choose your destiny. But you have another choice, to follow or not to follow your own destiny.
Magician Ingvar. From the article, Why Magicians Are Alone Often.
I remember that at our last meeting you spoke of Ukrainians as a mentally weak nation. After Bucha, Mariupol, and Bakhmut, do you think your perception of the Ukrainian nation has changed?
We are very weak mentally. My nation, Ukrainian Oleg, is very weak mentally, and I am forced to state this. Not because I'm so glorious, but because I see it, I know it. We're very dependent on the other's opinions. We're very dependent on the weather. We're very dependent on the wind. We're very dependent on many factors. It is bad. It shouldn't be this way. I never been in Mariupol. I don't know what it's like now. I never been in Bakhmut. But I look at the Ukrainians, they've become even weaker. All people, practically 19%, are in neurosis. So, we are facing a big wave of mental disorders. That's why psychotherapists need to work at a very high level. All Ukrainians, without exception, 100% of the time, when we see all these mopeds, we all, without exception, get nervous. How can we protect ourselves? There's only one defense for everyone, regardless of their nervous system type. It's a clear vision of the idea. The person needs to be heavily into something. That's the most important advice. It works 100%. Find something, self-improvement, some kind of activity, sports. I want to suggest these things to every Ukrainian, without exception, right now. Hard times, psychologically difficult times await us. But those who earned money will continue to earn it. People who were poor, they are poor now. Some became rich, some lost everything, and some lost their lives and families. I had an apartment in Vuhledar, it is gone. My brother is in migrant. I was calm that my brother was in Vuhledar, an apartment, because my brother means a lot to me. He is 20 years older than me, so... Actually, he is an old man now, and he was left without a home. So yes, we have all tasted what war is.
I also want to agree with you here, only I would call them not weaker, but tired.
100%. People are overcome, yes, it's called weariness. All military personnel, one way or another, experience the most powerful, most serious psychological trauma, and nothing can be done about it, because they are highly motivated, patriotic people, who, when they go for rehabilitation, it takes for 2 or 3 weeks, a month, and then they return to battlefield again. The problem with post-traumatic stress disorder is that as psychiatrists, the first thing we need to do is isolate the patient with post-traumatic stress disorder from the traumatic situation, but they all, without exception, return there. So this is the problem that needs to be solved right now.
You were a surgeon, then you became a psychiatrist. You cut people up, and then you started to treat souls. Is this an escape from blood or? How did this transformation happen?
My teacher, whom I always looked up to, was Abu Ali Hussein ibn Abdullah ibn al-Hassan ibn Ali ibn Sina, known as Avicenna. He said that a doctor should be both a surgeon and a psychiatrist. In other words, he said that you need to treat both the body and the soul. That's why I've always tried to treat both the body and the soul, that is, the psychic. First you had to be a surgeon, and then you had to change to psychiatry. For 6 years of medical institute, I spent most of my time in the surgical club and the morgue. So, I was absolutely sure that surgery was my only way. I had to be with a scalpel, meaning I had to cut. As a surgeon in reality, after my heart, by vocation, I chose psychiatry as a legal profession to become a psychiatrist. So, when I became impregnated during 6 years of surgery, I went on to an internship in psychiatry. But I never returned from psychiatry to surgery. My surgery ended in Donetsk in 2004, when I told Kazakov to go to hell. He was the rector of Medical Institute. I told Semenova to go to hell, the head of the Department of Operative Surgery and Topographic Anatomy, where I taught operative surgery to 3rd and 4th year students, took my work record book from the HR department, and left Donetsk forever. Well, the head of the department thought I was without kith or kin, that I wouldn't go anywhere, and she liked young boys. And she saw me as a young boy who would provide her with intimate services, but I refused. She didn't like it at all. She started to make intrigues there, started to look for opportunities to rein me in, because no one liked Bender Bombushkar Igor Stefanovich. He always, permanently, doesn't consider her opinion. Yes, he satisfies her objectives, but in his own way. So she didn't like this way. She said, "Igor, you're taking such a difficult way. Why couldn't you have done it this way?" "Tatiana Vasilievna, you set the task. Did I complete it?" "Yes, I did." "Well, that's it." But she wanted not only the task was completed, but only in her own way. Do you understand? In 2004, I came to Kyiv. I was homeless for 3 months. I'm not ashamed of it. I was a seller of toilets and tiles. 3 years later, I re-established my private medical practice. So, I hardly switched from surgery to psychiatry, because as a surgeon, I completed an internship in psychiatry. Now I have a valid license as a psychiatrist and expert in narcology. I completed my subject specialization in narcology at Shupik in 2021. But it would be better to link it to 2014, Oleg, because our meeting in 2017, it was after the film The Magician's Life.
I just wanted to clarify, the period of Volodar, then the film The Magician's Life. How do these periods or epochs in your life differ and are reflected now?
Not one who watched The Magician's Life knew or understood that it was, in fact, my epitaph, essentially, my obituary. I predicted my death very clearly, Oleg, and I was preparing. I was in a great hurry to get this film, The Magician's Life, out into the world, and if you rewatch the film The Magician's Life after our meeting today, at 1 hour and 5 minutes you'll see where I say I'm going to die. And, highly likely, the people who are interested in my death will succeed. In other words, I predicted my death, and I saw my death.
Вполне осязаемые и опасные противники. Те, которые сейчас охотятся за мной и в конце концов убьют. За то, что я рассказываю правду о них, здесь и сейчас. Потому что вы, мои слушатели и зрители, должны это знать. Но меня могут убить, я могу не успеть это сделать. И вероятнее, что убьют. Вероятнее всего, что убьют.
You write, you often mention that at 43 you found happiness, inner peace, and cool. Now you're already 50. What about death now? Are you afraid of it?
Oh no, I even once wanted to find someone who would kill me for money. When I realized the first try had failed, then there was a second, a third. When the first failed, the second failed, and I really wanted to be gone. I thought, I need to pay someone for it. So, foolishly and in my innocence, I searched and searched. Sure, it was all on the level of stupidity. I respect death. I admire death. And I know that anyone who is born will definitely die. That's why I prepare my children for the fact that daughter, 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 4 times daughter, daddy will die sooner or later. Dad will lie dead. There's no need to be afraid of that. When my mother died, she said, God forbid, don't come, son. You don't have to drive 700 kilometers from Kiev to Volodar, you don't have to. I got in the car and ran, and I spent the night next to my mother. Here's the coffin, and I held the coffin like all night. Why? Because I wanted to talk to my mother. I can't kiss hands, and so at night, without light, open mirrors, because my mother saw that when somebody died, they covered the mirrors. Oh my God, I need to take the fucking mirrors off. My mother needs to talk to me. My relatives have all run off. I'm alone with my mother all night. And, I fell asleep already, Mom, talk. And about 3 o'clock, I wake up, such a blow, for me, a blow. And my mom gets up, you see, she gets up from the grave. I told you not to come. Why did you come? You wasted so much money. Why? I say, Mom, well, I wanted to be with you, just to be with you. She scolded me, you see? She scolded me very much. Well, in one word, I woke up.
Скажи мне, а что ты считаешь, что ты умираешь уже?
Ну, мені ж кожен день плохо, страшно, і спать я почти не сплю.
Так а когда ты умирать будешь, ты знаешь или нет?
Ні, не
Не
знаю.
знаю.
I predicted my mother's death as far as back in 2014, but I realized that the most important thing in life that I have left is my mother, who gave me life, who was ready to cut off her hands and give them to me. And I realized I had the resources and the opportunity to prolong her life a little. And I worked really, really hard and supported my mother in every possible way. She wanted for nothing, but in 2021, it's time when I realized, that's all. I saw death, and I realized that for 2 or 3 months, maximum, no one had stopped the latter end for even a week. And not later than 2 weeks, I went to see my mother to say goodbye, and recorded the moment on camera. I'm visiting my mother in Volodar now. My mother called me suddenly, because she was calling me to say last goodbye. My mother is 83 years old, and she thinks she's going to die. So I dropped everything I was doing, left absolutely everything behind, and came to say last goodbye to my mother in Vuhledar. My mother is a saint to me. As far as I can remember since 5th grade, my mother always said, "Son, I'm ready to chop off my hands and give them to you." I really couldn't understand till my 2nd or 3rd year of medical institute. And only on 3rd year of medical institute, I finally realized what my mother meant when she said, "Cut off my hands, son, and give them to you." So, my mother is self-forgetfulness, unconditional love. I love my mother very much, and I don't know how I'll feel when she's gone. And when people called me a scrub woman's son, I always told them that I admired and was proud to be a scrub woman's son, And I always said that I kissed her hands. I woke up. It was in a dream. You see, I'm alive. It's a dream. I even jumped. I woke up. I look. Is Mom lying there? Yes, she's lying next to me. It was dark. I look. She's lying there. Everything's okay.
Igor, in context, returning to your mother, that film, The Magician's Life, that you made, strangely enough, it was supposed to be your obituary, but your mother and father are gone, and Vuhledar is gone.
Vuhledar is gone. There is no one. And maybe this was the picture of death, of everything, where I grew up, of everything that was dear to me. But I exist, and I was sure that I would not exist. But all this would continue to live. In the end, it turned out that it wasn't me who died. It was my city. My childhood city died. It was wiped out. So to say that I was wrong, no, I wasn't. I had seen my own death.
Before the outbreak of full-scale war, the town's population, according to official figures, was over 14,000. Mines, schools, hospitals, and shops were operational. As a result of Russian shelling, there is no unbroken building in Vuhledar.
Nature is not interested in the development of man, because nature brings man to a certain level, and then leave to waste, and only further super efforts through conscious work and deliberate suffering are capable of truly developing him. Magician Ingwar. The resort to the daughter from the book, The Secret of Hypnosis Revealed. A practicum for security agencies. Listen, I go on the Google, enter Igor Bambushka, and I see that half the links are about a scientist, and half are about a scientist and a doctor, and the other half are about an arms dealer, a charlatan, practically a pedophile, terrorism, and fake bomb threats. Which of these are true, Igor?
It's all true. It's all true, because it's really so. It's all written there. But in 2019, agents of Security Service of Ukraine really fixed 1,500 reports of false placing mines, and all of this was under my brand Bambushka. If you don't pay 5 million euros, the placing mines will continue. The Security Service of Ukraine couldn't find who was behind the fake placing mines. They mined courts, schools, children's homes. But when they started mining hospitals, when they started mining cancer centers and maternity hospitals, I made bankruptcy procedure. The mining suddenly stopped. The officers of Security Service of Ukraine couldn't find who mined. I gave them the exact names, but they weren't interested in it.
Listen, there are concrete facts. I don't know whether they're facts or not, but there are statements about evacuation of buildings and people.
So they aren't just statements. They're the truth. Sure, it is true. A group was leaving. I'll never forget it. In 2020, I'm walking along Independence Square. I'm lowered into this globe. People are running out. They throw everyone out, and I'm walking. The door closes in front of me, and this security chief. There's a mine there, young man. Where are you going? Why can't you see? We are sick and tired of these miners. Mining again. Some magician Ingwar is mining. People are running out. Go, go. But it's me, the magician Ingwar. They're mining for me. Young man, I'm not in the mood for jokes. Go away. I'm not in the mood for jokes. But Ingwar has nothing to do with it, so professionals are at work and they wanted to crush Ingwar. Did it work? Here, note. Give the FICO is what they got.
You write that you left the family without money in your letter to your daughter, roughly said, and gave the money to charity. And you call yourself a criminal there. Igor, tell me, is this selfishness or you covered yourself with some higher intentions? It's a complex formulation, in total, when you look at it.
The people who placed the mines should have been told not that I was a pedophile, and that I was selling weapons, but that he took money from his family, that he was a criminal.
Here it is, a seemingly insoluble paradox. I honestly and conscientiously carried out a revolution of my heart, but at the same time I took bread from my family and distributed it to the needy. Will my family, who are forced to suffer because of me, forgive me for this? Magician Ingvar. The resort to the daughter from the book, The Secret of Hypnosis Revealed. A practicum for security agencies.
I am truly a criminal. Because I took money from my family and left my 4 daughters without financial support. Why? Because I was sure that I would not live. I wanted to leave behind the film. I wanted my children to remember their a bit weak-minded dad. As my daughters to know that you can achieve anything in this life. You just need to develop your brains. And to develop your brain, you need to put your phone throw by, put your gadgets throw by, and concentrate just like Dad did. So Dad sits down to write a book or read. And Dad doesn't get up for 12 hours, doesn't take a shit, doesn't pee, he doesn't eat. Dad sits down. And no one can disturb Dad. I'm trying to change it all now, because I didn't die, and those good people didn't manage to kill me. I started interacting with children, very actively, and I enjoy it, because in 2014 I really did give all my money to charity. I was short of $300,000. I also took out a loan with a bank, because I wanted to make a charity event to help treat human immunodeficiency virus-infected people, and I did it in 2014.
In 2014, Ukrainian scientist Igor Bambushka made the All-Ukrainian Charity Campaign to help people living with human immunodeficiency virus, the first massive charity event in the history of Ukraine, financed by a private person, exclusively from personal savings, without attracting funds from the budget, charitable or public organizations.
Ingvar is a frequent television visitor. However, he prefers to talk about mundane matters, his own project about fighting against acquired immune deficiency syndrome, and world-changing events.
Сколько пачек чая нужно человеку в год и сколько пачек вы будете выдавать бесплатно?
Я сделал 10 тысяч пачек на сегодняшний день, и каждому ВИЧ-инфицированному, который захочет от меня бесплатно это принять, я буду выдавать 3 пачки.
I took out plenty of the loan with a bank. Why did I take it? I realized that when I met with Yushchenko and couldn't convey anything to this great person, I decided somehow to fool all those voices in my head with everyday questions. I took out plenty of the loan with a bank. What for? To create a programming situation so that you're immersed in real things and thinking about what you need, not what Yushchenko needs, what someone else needs, and so on. I met with Petro Andreevich and his brother. I said that a voice was telling me that something unpredictable would happen to your brother in 3 months. It would be a impact to his health, to his life, but he would survive. I can help to minimize it. Petro Andreevich, Yushchenko's brother, says, "So do you hear voices, son?" Well, yes, I hear voices. I don't like that I came, I'm telling you. You think I'm a fool, a schizophrenic, possessed by the devil. I say I don't want this myself. So you need help? Can you release me from these voices? Yes, I can release you from these voices, son. I called my priest right now, and I'm ready to take you to the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra to see Abbot Zakari right now. I say, well, take me there, because the voice says I should have come here and told you like a fool, and he sits me down and there's this car, this banger, a Gelenvagen, and I remember getting into this Gelenvagen, it's such a huge thing, a bucket. I call it a banger. He brought me to the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra. I started talking with Abbot Zakari. I said to Zakari, well, a voice says that something like this will happen to Yushchenko in 3 months. Did you pray? Did you confess? No. You need to confess, receive communion, and then come. I confessed and received communion. And then there was poison and acne and so on, announced to the whole world, dioxidine, I think. After that, 3 months later, I went to the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra, to Hegumen Zachariah. Father, do you remember me? Yes, I remember you. I warned you. What do you want from me? And then, without Pyotr Andreevich, you know, Father Hegumen Zachary, I only want one thing. The voice says something else to me. Father, the voice says that you were the last person to see Kirpa, and that Kirpa is alive, and they'd already laid Kirpa out, already shown the body. They'd already buried him at Baikovo Cemetery. Father was paralyzed for a moment, for 5 seconds. He said, go with God, my son, and don't ever come to me again. Hegumen Zakari and I never met again. But I remembered that banger that Petruka gave me a lift, so I decided to try one of those bangers myself. I got a Jelenvagen. And now I'm driving a Jelenvagen. Drive a Jelenvagen.
Listen, you wear watch that costs $20,000 and teach people success. So, success, is it a baguette on your wrist or something else?
There's a big gap between the success you're talking about and happiness. I've always strived for success. Oleg, I came from Donetsk. I was homeless in Donetsk. I have a ton of publications. I was first in research at the entire university, and maybe even in Ukraine, because I was the first to introduce distance learning in 2000. At that time, no one knew anything about COVID, no one was talking about distance learning, so I called it telelearning. And they laughed at me because I was making films. I didn't buy an apartment in Donetsk for me, I didn't buy an expensive watch for me, as you take note of it. I spent money on equipment that will allow me to shoot and edit these films, and I've made 16 films up to date.
It really did exist back then. No one understood how to use it, and it certainly never occurred to anyone to do it. Did you do it? Was it some kind of vision? How did you come to this conclusion so early?
It's all so simple, and the simplicity lies in the fact that when I wanted and dreamed of surgery, student access to the clinic was prohibited. To get an operation at a clinic, you needed to have people in the right places, you had to make arrangements, you needed to put in a call, you had to get permission. What did I do? I told myself, Igor, you have to break this system. You have to give greeners like you the opportunity to avoid going through these stages. I wanted to give the average student, not the well-connected one, the opportunity to see perfectly what a surgeon does without leaving their computer or their room. And I succeeded. Did anyone support me? No, not financially. There were people, professors, and I interacted with the top medical officials in the Donetsk region, so my name is very well known precisely because of these films. The films were a sensation. In 2000 to 2004, the word distance learning really didn't exist. Tele-learning was my thing, and I borrowed it from Kashpirovsky, who had telemedicine, not tele-learning. I had tele-learning, called virtual, and I preferred virtual. So, if it hadn't been for His Majesty the coronavirus in 2019, I would have forgotten that Oleg, I was at the forefront of distance learning. It was me, but at what cost? What did I pay? I paid with my life. I didn't take anything from Donetsk, I left homeless. And what's more, they wanted to put me in prison. I ran away from security service of Ukraine, the money was ready and marked. Semenova decided to put me in prison because I didn't fuck her, she decided to take down my notch, to make me obey. And I realized that that's all, I don't need anything, I don't want anything, neither a candidate's degree, nor a doctorate, it was all already written. In the field of surgery, it was already done.
I also think it was early, I often think it was luck.
I had tele-learning, called virtual, and I preferred virtual. So, if it hadn't been for His Majesty the coronavirus in 2019, I would have forgotten that Oleg, I was at the forefront of distance learning. It was me, but at what cost? What did I pay? I paid with my life. I didn't take anything from Donetsk, I left homeless. And what's more, they wanted to put me in prison. I ran away from security service of Ukraine, the money was ready and marked. Semenova decided to put me in prison because I didn't fuck her, she decided to take down my notch, to make me obey. And I realized that that's all, I don't need anything, I don't want anything, neither a candidate's degree, nor a doctorate, it was all already written. In the field of surgery, it was already done.
Tell me, first of all, how do you feel about artificial intelligence, how do you take it? Because you are as a visionary, considering the fact that in 2015 you predicted almost word for word what would happen. How do you take artificial intelligence now and how much time do you spend directly with gadgets per day?
There's no luck. Mark my words. My charisma, they say. You're a genius. I'm not a genius. I'm a hard worker. I tell you again, I did a crap once a week, I didn't eat anything, I never left the fucking morgue. Oleg, I was afraid of being kicked out of medical institute, because there was no support. My parents told me, son, we can do nothing, you have to study. I said, Mom, really, I wanted to study. Because they wanted me to be a mine worker. What are you talking about? What mines? I want to be a doctor. But we don't have such one in our family. It's okay. I'll be the first one to become a doctor. If you can work with your legs, that's great. But when you use your brain, that's even better. Develop your brain. But only a human can trust himself, not rely on fantasies. And Ingwar says, this is a church of inner faith. A church of inner faith. Only this fact has a tendency to enrich the universe, and including our planet. Artificial intelligence, technology, and what it was like in medical school, all this Sovietness, and I didn't understand what a Soviet was. But now I understand. I've worked there. It's a Soviet, idiot Soviet, So, Oleg, thanks to my time teaching there, I decided to check out what medical books say in Ukraine these days. And I was blown away. The publication Medicine publishes these precise books, each 1,500 pages long, very expensive. I've bought almost everything from them. And from 2022, I started studying histology again, because there were no such books when I studied in 1995, 2004, unique books on histology, on pathological anatomy, on pathophysiology, on sexopathology, on psychiatry, on narcology, that is all the books, you take it, it's a cool. When I learned that at Cambridge and Oxford the norm is 400 pages a day or 200 sheets, I thought, how much do I read? And I noticed I read The Prisoner of the If Castle, 250 sheets. So more than at Oxford. So I regret to inform you that my eyesight has deteriorated significantly, and I can't read all day like I used to. I can only read in the morning, when there's good light. So I read, about 50 pages a day, 50 pages only. I don't take sport now, but I try to maintain some exercises, because I've had major problems with my joints. I'm doing certain things to restore this, because I've never taken care of my health. I'm actively taking certain medications, and I monitor them very closely because I see problems. I drink Naftuzia constantly, Oleg, constantly. That is, once a year, twice a year, I go out, because if I miss it, the pain becomes so terrible that I keep it under control. So Ingvar has aged.
Мои хорошие, вот такие у нас собаки, поняли? Белые волки.
At the same time, Ingvar is happy because he felt happiness, you see? And happiness and success, they kind of run parallel somewhere, but generally they rarely intersect. Ingvar is more about happiness. It's a state that needs to be maintained and nurtured, cultivated. Success is another one.
Magic is the highest level of the ability to consciously and independently control the events of one's own life. A magician is a master of active gnosis. The mission of the modern magician is the prescription of the necessity of coming to his inner God, taking into account the harsh realities of modern life. Magic, as Ingvar see it, is the eternal and uncreated light of divine knowledge, revealed to all those who want and are ready to move towards their awakening, self-improvement, and deification. Magician Ingwar, from the article, a characteristic feature of today's Ingwar. Regarding cemetery magic. Here's a guy with a 6-digit H index on Google Scholar and over 200 scientific papers. Igor, how can you tell people that ground from grave can put a spell on?
When I came to Kiev from Donetsk Medical University, I really wanted to call a demon and show that spiritual powers exist. I really wanted this. I wanted to prove to the whole world that magic exists, magic works. As a scientist, I wanted to show this. I wanted an apartment, I wanted a car. I didn't have that in Donetsk. I was homeless, you see. And it's 100% true that ground from grave works. It's 100% true that demons exist. It's 100% true that devils exist. Great Spirit, guardian of rebellious souls, I turn to you again and again. Grant me strength, health, and wealth, and help me realize my dreams through love. At some moment I wanted to demonstrate this to humanity, and, Oleg, I am the only person in the world who showed what the devil looks like on cameras like these. In June of 2005, I held my first seminar at Nadezhda Bespalova's in Odessa. I gave charms that my teacher had passed on to me. I gave them these charms and told them that now I appeal to the devil, and the devil definitely had come. So, the devil was taking a picture. It's a unique picture. I have it. I've never talked about it before, but I think I made this picture public in 2020 or 2021. Look at this photo. It was taken in 2005 with a simple digital camera. What does the devil look like? How do I see him? Friends, first of all, he is the one I see. First of all, they're up to 1.5 meters tall. The ones I saw. The devil doesn't have horns. At least I don't see any horns. And in the photo, if you look closely, you'll see there are no horns. There are ears, pointy ears. So, I am the only one in the world who has shown what the devil looks like. If you claim to work as a magician, you teach magic, then show what your power. Don't blah blah blah. Like this psychic scum, they make a lot of money of people, but if you're a magician, show me. Show me. If suddenly some oligarch wants to see what it looks like, I'm ready. 10 million.
And will you be able to show this to everyone in reality?
I used to say $1 million, now it's 10 million. Well, the prices these days. He'll invest 10 million, invite 350 cameras, and Ingwar will prepare there for some time and he'll see the same thing. Maybe we can arrange for the devil to come up and hug him, but if he hugs him, I spend 2 weeks recovering. 2 weeks, then any oligarch, I don't know if he can recover after being touched, I don't know.
So, let's touch on Ingvar's intellectual awakening. How is Anatoly Mikhailovich Kashpirovsky connected to this?
Since 1989, Kashpirovsky has been connected to probably every citizen of the post-Soviet space. No one could pass by when Kashpirovsky's sessions were on television. Churches stopped services, trolleybuses and cars. Everyone ran to the television on Kashpirovsky. He was a god. And I surely also fell under the influence of this intellectual god. I wanted to be very much like this god. And when they tell me today, Igor, you are probably his illegitimate son, father, they look very similar, I say no, I just love this man very much. I love him. I admire him. I wanted to be like him. And Kashpirovsky is a psychiatrist. Kashpirovsky is from the official scientific medical tradition, with 25 years of experience at the Venezia Psychiatric Hospital. Yes, I admired him and wanted to be like him. And I followed him everywhere, right on his heels, repeating everything, duplicating everything he said, everything he wrote. He's a very profound man, and we're still friends up to this day. I can only talk to Kashpirovsky for 2 hours today, Oleg. 2 hours!
Do you communicate with him often now?
No, he's upset with me. Why don't you call? Igor, if you don't call me, I won't call you again.
I also wanted to clarify about your daughters. Again, you're asking one of them for forgiveness.
I ask forgiveness from all my daughters.
I wanted to ask, do the others forgive you?
Yes, the resort to the daughter is the resort to the daughters. Well, the eldest one today is 17, a beauty. I call her my princess, my princess. I look ADN, I'm shocked. The boys look at her, stare, I really enjoy it, seeing myself in my children. And my resort to my daughter is my resort to my daughters. Dad asks for forgiveness. Dad explains why he didn't give her that love. Because Dad was obsessed with knowledge. Dad was searching for knowledge. Dad certainly gained knowledge. Do you know anyone in the world who can show you what the devil looks like and can show you again for $10 million? I don't know anyone.
And so again, getting back to the showing devils and all that, in 2000, you were the first. There was no COVID there, as we just said, and there was nothing at all. The word telemedicine didn't even exist. You had already recorded your lessons back then. In 2014 you teach people to walk and take ground from the cemetery. Here we go again, tell us more, reveal more about how a person can mix knowledge, exact sciences and give, let's call it esotericism, not even magic, generally.
As for me, a magician and a scientist, religion and magic, they're a single in creative synthesis. Psychiatry and surgery are also antipodes. It's impossible for someone to be both a surgeon and a psychiatrist. But there are unique individuals who have understood that surgery must be in creative synthesis with psychiatry, because surgery and the soul, or the body and the soul, move in tandem, and soul and body are inseparably fused. So why didn't their close union protect them from mortal enmity? This is Goethe's Faust. I realize this, I think about it very deeply. I promulgate it to my public audience students. And yes, Oleg, yes, magic or esotericism, as you try to call it. I still prefer magic. I don't want to move away from this word, because my magic is scientific, Oleg. The term magic that I teach, it has patented definition, authorial patented certificate. Magic is the highest level of ability, meaningly and self-contained, to control your own life events. So, who is a magician? A master of active gnosis, who clearly structures his life, who controls it. This is the magic I teach. This is the magic I broadcast to the world. I'm talking about this magic now in the context of the religion of magicians. So the cemetery is second field too, in the background. Recent years I've rarely visited the cemetery because I can work with the condition. I can evoke cemetery's condition through certain practices called psycho-practices due to the fact that temple of inner faith has been built. So I can switch, I can mentally in my thoughts to get to any point on the planet to any person, and what's more, I can talk to anyone.
Igor, well, tell me anyway, how can you fit both concepts into one head? I mean, you're a psychiatrist, at the same time believe in reincarnation. How can you fit both concepts into one head?
I am a psychiatrist, I am a surgeon. I visited about 18 locations in planet Earth, and when I came into deep contact with Hinduism and Buddhism, where the idea of reincarnation is not even discussed, so it's automatic. You understand that if you are a Hindu or a Buddhist, you automatically understand that it's sewn in religion, so it's not even up for discussion. So you are reincarnated. What do our Christians, priests, and so on say? Only Christianity is true and correct, everything else is destructive cults and so on. So there's no need to look there at all and believe. But I lived for a while in Tibet, I lived for a while in China, I lived for a while in India, yes, I was on Mount Athos, and I also saw pure Christianity. I saw monks who don't have sex, don't eat meat, don't talk, don't smile, don't swim in the sea, you see, in Greece, on Mount Athos. So, I saw pure Christianity, it's different. But when we talk about how I believe in reincarnation today, I can show someone for a lot of money, sure, where they will be in their next life, where they were in their previous life. It's very hard. The regressive hypnosis that all sorts of scum are practicing these days has nothing to do with past lives. The proof of reincarnation lies in the fact that in Buddhism, in Northern Vajrayana Buddhism, the institution of Tulku exists. It has always existed, and with 100% evidence they can predict where the next Dalai Lama will be born. Today's Dalai Lama the 14th is Tenzin Gyatso, old person. He is almost 90 years old, but he is a bold oldie. He announced to the whole world that the next Dalai Lama, the 15th, will most likely be elected by vote. It's never been like this. Before, when the Dalai Lama died, 3 or 4 months later, the search party that lived with the Dalai Lama would go and find the male child, look for him, speak certain words to him, have a certain dialogue, and the boy would say with absolute certainty that he was the Dalai Lama. He recognized things, he said things that a little boy couldn't. So, these are the criteria of proof. This is very clearly present today, and has always been present in Buddhism. This proof is present in secret orders. We know nothing about secret orders, because a representative of a secret order is forbidden to speak about them. Why? Because you're entering into confrontation with the church, and you could have problems. And neither me nor the secret orders want problems with the church. Not because we're afraid, but because we understand that people need something to believe in. And orthodoxy is a very powerful religion, especially pure orthodoxy. I'm talking about pure orthodoxy now, with its connection to Athos. How can one deny the power and strength of Athos? It's impossible. I've been there twice, and it's something that can transform anyone, even a man. Access to women is prohibited, so only men can get to Athos. So, yes, pure orthodoxy is different, and I don't argue with him. But there are priests who, sad to say, are far from pure orthodoxy and the canons of orthodoxy.
When independently studying comparative religion, keep in mind the most important thing, in all of Christianity and in all of Islam. There is a complete and total lack of a direct reference to the idea of reincarnation, which is of the utmost importance for all of humanity and for every individual person, the idea of reincarnation, or incarnating. This was done deliberately with the aim of taking control of the development of all humanity through the possibility of external control over it. Magician Ingwar. The resort to the daughter from the book, The Secret of Hypnosis Revealed. A practicum for security agencies.
But I always emphasize that it doesn't matter who you were in your past life. It doesn't matter who you'll be in your next life. What matters is your current incarnation, your current embodiment. Because here and now, you can do something to build some knowledge in your head. Only here and now. If you think you can just take knowledge from a past life, then here, note, give the FICO, you always need to prove it in this current life and confirm your qualifications in this life. How do you confirm it? With super effort. Nothing is possible without super effort. What is super effort? I sit down and don't get up for 12 hours. I work. But if it takes 24 hours, it can be 24 hours. But I've noticed that I'm starting to get old. I can't work all day anymore. Oleg, I'm 50, almost 50, And I've noticed that I need to sleep. I can't go 2 or 3 days without sleep. I need to sleep. And I'm no longer interested in wearing my body out like that. But without extreme effort, nothing is possible. Nothing. In 2022, when the war began, I started to teach psychiatry, psychotherapy, medical psychology and narcology at the very same Donetsk State Medical University in Kropivnitsky. So, it was displaced. And for about a year, I taught these very same subjects in the Department of Psychiatry, Psychotherapy, Medical Psychology and Addiction Medicine. Moreover, I proposed to the head department to create 4 powerful teaching aids. I say, let's do it, I'll pay for everything. I want to elevate my university so that people talk about us. Later. And I realized that it is useless matter, and my desire to improve something is not interesting for them. I love improving everything. Where I come, I need to improve everything. So, it's better for me not to go anywhere and just do my own work, because many people don't like the fact that I want to improve everything. Why did I leave? Anatoly Stepanovich Anchev was the acting rector. A unique person. I was friends with Anchev, and Anchev personally promised me that he would help. Igor, together with Donetsk University, we will help you introduce parapsychology as an elective course at our university for the first time in Ukraine. In other words, you will finally achieve your dream. And so I went there. I believed him. I went there. But Anchev was relieved of duties, and I walk out of the job immediately. I realized that's all. Anchev is gone. There's nothing more for me to do there. You understand?
Please explain to me how you managed to publish 25 scientific papers between 2020 and 2025.
Oh, that's a wonderful question. In 2015, I met a brilliant big head of science of Ukraine. This is Anatoly Ivanovich Gozhenko, professor, a very famous person not only in Ukraine but also worldwide, and he inspired me. When I first met him, I came to him and put a list of my works to his desk, which were dated from 1997 to 2004. They were all highlighted. There were 200, I think, published works. So he looked, and his first question was, "Why aren't you a candidate of medical sciences yet?" He sparked me. I believed him, and thanks to Gozhenko, I switched to science in 2015. But I started only in 2020. In 2015, I went to America for 2 years. I was sure that in America I would confirm my medical degree and work in America. But I saw what America is. America is a closed question. So yes, as to the science, from 2020 to 2025, there were 26 publications, all of them in English script. I dedicate this super powerful monograph, which is essentially my official, long-awaited candidate dissertation, to my father, Stefan Avgustinovich Bombushkar, and in his person, to all the Bombushkars of Transcarpathia, and in the person of all the Bombushkars of Transcarpathia, I see all the citizens of my native country.
From the dissertation of the magician Ingwar for the degree of candidate of medical sciences. I wanted to clarify. Your latest dissertation, or one of your recent ones, is about the role of lithic acid in regulating the neuroendocrine immune complex. How does it relate to your latest interests?
Yes. This dissertation is dedicated to the bioactive water, Naftusia. Naftusia is connected to the Carpathians and Transcarpathia. This is my homeland. This is my family. This is Bombushkars. I want the Bombushkars to know that I have expressed our family through this dissertation by updating the bioactive water, Naftusia. Today, Naftusia costs pennies. And it's worthless. You trip here, rent an apartment, and only that costs money. And drink Naftusia for free, please. Unique water, Oleg. I've had joint problems for 9 years. I didn't expect it. I'm an athlete. I live in Shaolin with the monks. Oleg, I have joint problems. Why? Psychosomatics. Where do psychosomatics come from? Oleg, I spent in and out of courts. And that false placing mines. I was sick and tired of it, you know. Bioactive water Naftusia, which I first discovered in 2020. I knew about it before, but I looked at it differently. Basically, you drink the water and your state is different. That's why I realized the enormous potential of this Naftusia water, our Ukrainian water. And I decided to dedicate my dissertation to something that every Ukrainian needs.
And of course this water is very moderate.
Sure, that's the most important thing. Easier, faster, more accessible. Let every Ukrainian travel there. This scientific work is connected, among other things, with the truly magical natural bioactive water Naftusia, which has been bottled for a long time in my native Carpathian region and is successfully used for the treatment and prevention of a wide variety of diseases. However, neither the choleretic nor the diuretic actions of Naftusia are the subject of its healing effect on the body. They are only satellites to its main effect, which is directed at immune system cells. The subject of Naftusia's healing effect lies in the activation of anti-inflammatory systems, cholinergic, adrenergic, and glucocorticoid, and the normalization of autonomic regulation of the immune, digestive, and other body systems.
From the dissertation of the magician Ingvar for the degree of candidate of medical sciences.
Let people with post-traumatic stress disorder go there. Skidnitsia, Truskovets, Sataniv. Let them go there, let them drink Naftusia. And my dissertation is dedicated to Naftusia. But he, Gozhenko, leads me by the hand. A unique guy. I notice again I am very grateful to him, because I felt frustrated with science. He says, no, Igor, science is other thing. Actually, the supervisor always takes control. He's interested in the candidate's defense. In your case, this is an exception.
Think viewers will be pleased and interested to know details. Anyway, let's move on to the medications. A teen is coming out now. Igor, is this science or magic? Do you even use it yourself?
Sure. Yes. Ateen is an international, already registered trademark that didn't just appear out of nowhere, but was simply rebranded as Ateen after the mother's nest. That is, Atin is a rebranding of the mother's nest. The mother's nest is a composition created by my teacher, an herbalist, because I've had many teachers. One taught me magic, Mikhail Valerievich Pinayev. The second, Anatoly Vasilievich, taught me the art of healing and herbalism. The third, surgeon Yuri Abramovich Yakovlevich, taught me surgery, do you understand? Lyudmila Vasilievna Bondar taught me the art of communicating with Lucifer, direct contact. That is, Atin is a rebranding of the mother's nest. My teacher handed over the mother's nest formula to me before he died. I received it in 1993. I was in 11th grade at that time, and I, as a herbalist, had a visit from people since 8th grade, so I already had people in my 8th grade. People signed up and paid money for me to make them very serious compositions, herbal compositions, because I collected the herbs myself. Today, Oleg, I use 180 medicinal plant components. Hippocrates used 200. I'd like to go beyond Hippocrates in this life, but I've been thinking about 180, and so far, I can't get beyond that. Yes, I have a forest, 100 hectares, officially since 2011. There are medicinal herbs there. They used to grow them during the Soviet era, and there are 3 lakes. I think if I keep going, it will work out if I find funding. And what do I mean if I find funding? I have to earn money myself. I don't want to beg money of oligarchs anymore. Enough of, I asked Rinat Leonidovich Akhmetov once. Rinat, help me, please. Well, I need money. Well, help, please. Igor, I'll see you soon, Rinat promised, but the meeting never happened. Yes, I asked him for money, but I didn't know Rinat was a very religious man, you know, and I gave him my business card, Corn Demons, you see, so he shitted on himself, you see.
He was probably very scared of your business card.
But I'm just a simple guy, do you understand? I didn't know these moments. Simple, naive, you see.
Listen, you often say that medicine has lost its soul. Can you explain the meaning of this?
Medicine has truly lost its soul. Because, for medicine to have a soul, and surgery also, I mean the body, must be in creative synthesis with psychiatry, which is the soul. And that's impossible. And today, we retrace the same path of America and Europe. Specialist in hand-nail phalanx, hair specialist, nose hair specialist, ear specialist, specialist in... Come on, that's nonsense. A person should be an expert in everything. An expert in everything, but no one needs this trend. Because it's impossible to make money. I'm against fee-for-service medicine. This is an area that shouldn't be fee-for-service medicine. Because if it's fee-for-service medicine, doctors will prey on it, and they'll find non-existent diseases in patients, so they'll make a lot of money. In a few words, I told you there's no soul. Why? Cash. Everything is replaced by cash.
Igor, I also wanted to touch on this moment. I think it will be also interesting for audience. What's your daily life like now? Are you practicing anything? What are you eating, exercising, doing anything, or what are you reading right now? Basic things. So, Ingvar, how are you as a human?
I am deep into the science. And you know, I'm actively working under my scientific dissertation. I wasn't given the opportunity to defend my dissertation. Everything was ready. I passed the exams. I taught psychiatry for almost a year. Psychotherapy, special psychology, and addiction medicine. As I told you, I wrote the unique lecture.
Tell about it, please. Tell more about it.
This is a lecture about borderline conditions, on borderline personality disorders. This is a unique lecture, 2 hours long. I gave it to my students, whose group I was leading. I recorded it for them, and the students could watch this lecture anytime they wish. It's free on YouTube, and so that the students would understand that through this lecture, and 20 years later, I reminded them that I did it in year 2000 yet. Just imagine that any rector who has special lectures and staff, he doesn't need maintained personnel, who give the same lecture every day. Where's the logic, and why education can't be distance learning today? Why not to employ these teachers, so that they can cultivate the sciences, intensive sciences? No, we have to give lectures, every other week, every other year, and still the same old story, nothing has changed.
From 2000 to 2024, the magician Ingvar created over 80 books on magic, religion, education, psychology, and methods of treatment and number of serious illnesses. In addition, he is the author of over 200 scientific publications, which were published in the best European and American specialized medical journals.
I wrote a dissertation, I paid for experiments myself. I cut off rats' heads, tails, blood. I gave them Naftusia water to drink, but I don't have a full-time postgraduate study. And I have no desire to have full-time postgraduate study now because people who want to avoid military service these days have to write a dissertation. I don't want to be associated with such human beings. I have 4 daughters. I want to live for my children. I want to defend this dissertation, but they won't let me. And my supervisor is considering defending it in Chisinau, Moldova. The dissertation is available in Ukrainian, Russian, and English, and at free access. Please read it, anyone who wants to. There's a book. I even published a printed version of the dissertation, called The Dissertation of the Magician Ingwar, for the degree of Candidate of Medical Sciences. Freedom is expensive. Always remember this, and this price is realistic objective for a human.
Magician Ingvar. The resort to the daughter from the book, The Secret of Hypnosis Revealed. A practicum for security agencies. You often emphasize, I don't know, perhaps, that your primary mission, or one of your primary missions, is, let's say so, not rescue, but the improvement of Ukraine's physical and spiritual condition. What have you already done, for the purpose of this mission, over the past few years?
In 2011, I became the owner of 100 hectares of land. One unusual old man gave it to me as a gift. There are 3 lakes there, and I dream of creating something area where people can come and completely improve their health. And any illness, any conditions, that's it. But now, when the country in such hard situation, I'm even considering giving it to Ukraine. We could build something there, for the displaced people, for example. Ideally, sure, I'd like to see a children's home, an old people's home, or rehabilitation center there. Here are these 3 builds on this sacred land. That's it. Surely, we want to earn money, earn honest money, and I think that it will happen. So, this is a dream, it's tangible. This is directly related to the idea of national recovery and the current situation in the country. And the rehabilitation center will provide services not only to drug and alcohol addicts, but also to those with post-traumatic stress disorder. So, people with post-traumatic stress disorder. So these military personnel can come here and receive quality medical care. Moreover, it is impossible today for psychiatrists to do it, because they don't have the kind of beauties I have in this forest. So, in this forest, a man dissolves there. The Lord sent this project down to me from heaven as my mission, showed me my mission, and said it was only $10 million cost. Since I often visit the Carpathians, Transcarpathia, my father's birthplace, I met Babyluk there. Valery Babyluk has spent his entire life as Moldova's chief doctor at a health resort in Truskovets. So he brought me to Opaka, which is 10 kilometers from Skidnitsia. He has a country seat there, in Opaka. In the forest, in the mountains. The same as mine, but he has 5 hectares there, and I have 100 hectares. And I saw how this man had realized my dream on these 5 hectares of forest, realized 20% of it. I said, how much did you pay? Igor, it cost me about 10 millions. So I thought $1 million would be enough for me. But when I told him, so is that enough for me? He said, Igor, well, he said, for yours you need 50 million probably. I have about 10, he said. He really made a great job there. You see, these cottages are like masterpieces. And he spent his whole life rehabilitating, physically rehabilitating. People are simply getting better, getting healthy. So he built it for healing, and I was shocked. And the most impressive thing I liked was that I caught a 6-kilogram sturgeon there. I made a video and we posted it with my wife. I really liked the guy. That's more about a dream.
Tell me more about the pharmaceutical factories. Atin, is it relate to this? Is this part of your dream, in general, or is it still a business? Because any business must make money still. There's no other way.
This isn't a business. Because I'm not a businessman. And I know for sure that if I don't find a manager soon, then everything I've planned with Atin, I'm a kind person. I don't rule out that I'll donate it to charity. So, I hope a manager will come and say, okay, Igor, stay out of this. It's none of your business. You created it, that's all. Go out, we'll carry out this business ourselves. You have children. You wanted to help your children, didn't you? How much money did you invest? Well, I gave away everything I had, and then I took out another loan. Well, that's enough then, Igor. Think about it now. Give your children a chance, objectively, to get something from you. Not just your attention, but some financial support. So this isn't a business. It's a unique dream, which starting from the 1993, on every bottle, every capsule, every tab, a team was written since 1993. This subject was since 1993. 26 roots. The teacher gave this composition to me, and in 2024, I realized we were ready to enter a world market, and we rebranded. And today, the mother's nest is called Artine, and now research takes place, scientific articles. So, we speak now. And the same today or tomorrow, a second article on the antioxidant properties of Artine should be published in an English language journal. The article about the oncoprotective properties of Artine in an English language journal was published earlier. It's been proven, you see, there were rats, studies of these sources of killer cells, T lymphocytes. That's a lot of work. Moreover, there is a big work on grafting tumor to demonstrate how Artine works in animals. We take a tumor, graft it onto a rat and a fly. There's a fruit fly, and there are special rats that are grafted with tumors, given Artine, and monitored for any effect on the animal's reaction. So Artine is a dream. Surely it is a dream, and dream from my childhood. So, if I had realized this dream based on herbal tea Artine in 2009, but now there is capsule, tab, soft extract, dry extract. Since 2009 this herbal tea has been on the official market with documentation, and since 2023, I've been looking for a pharmaceutical factory. Every factory in Ukraine without exception told me to go out. Why? What about the pharmaceutical company Darnitsa? Let's do it. I have the money. I want Darnitsa. Darnitsa, fuck off. Key vitamin plant, fuck off. Lubny farm, fuck off. Gaelic farm, fuck off. We don't work with small business like yours. We need an order for $1 million. And you, 5,000 packing or 10,000, it's not interesting. Go out. And I say, where, how? And voice in my head says, in Kharkiv, look in Kharkiv. And I find the Kharkiv pharmaceutical factory, and I go there and speak with the director. The director's name is Igor. Igor looks at me, sees I'm a bit eccentric, and says, Igor, we'll do it for you. We'll do it for you, but it is not a simple matter. This is, first of all, expensive and not simple. We sign a contract with them stating that I have no right to disclose how much I paid for the pharmaceutical development. Oleg, that's a huge amount of money. I didn't expect that pharmaceutical development. In other words, air. I paid for air. But when these people during a year, 10 samples, 5 capsule variants, 3 variants of tabs, 4 variants of sachets, I realized that this pharmaceutical development, that's a huge amount of money. There was a serious pharmacological research at the plant for a year and a half. In other words, the labs worked to create the perfect capsule. Do you see? There are 4 variants of capsules, and only one capsule that I approved and accepted. This colorless capsule is the most expensive to produce. This means it resulted in the most expensive and the most enduring. This is the most energy from these 26 roots in it. Next, Artine will be available not only in capsule form, but also in tablet form. Do you understand? Unique. Look, there are 3 pills, and only one variant. The only one variant I approved, because Artine's life is here. To obtain all these forms, capsules, tablets, thick extract, and dry extract, there are 4 forms at the pharmaceutical plant in Kharkov. To obtain them, you need a device like this. It's called a rotary evaporator. A rotary evaporator is a unique thing. I have these, microfactory conditions. So, this device at the factory, in large quantities, allows for the production of a thick extract, which is the platform and the main element from which capsules, rectal suppositories, tablets, thick extract, and dry extract are made. And the herbal tea I mentioned is made elsewhere, also in a good manufacturing practice plant, European standards. And from 2025, in September, I want to introduce this to the world, and not just to Ukraine, but to planet Earth as a whole. The Artine trademark is now officially registered and has a European specification and certificate. For the last 3 years, I have been living for Athene. Yes, there's a war now in the country, but I live for it. I have a doctoral dissertation, but I live for Athene. And I want to give humanity a phytocomplex that can truly help in the fight against cancer. But only in a complex with, I mind you, with chemotherapy, with sequential surgery, with radiation therapy, with immunotherapy, with hormonal therapy. That is, everything in a complex. This is what makes my Athene different from millions of other no-name dietary supplements. Because it is made by a certain person with a license to practice medicine in private practice. And not only with a license for private practice, but also with a reputation that I have placed a bet on this Athene. So Athene is definitely a dream. Definitely a dream. But if I don't find a manager, this dream will turn into a charity.
Listen, tell me more about this. I probably don't know, but as far as I know, it's one of your most popular books, Hypnosis for the Secret Services, The Secret Revealed. Tell me a little more about your collaboration with the Security Service of Ukraine during Kukma's time, about your own collaboration.
I think it first happened in 2002. I was already teaching surgery to students, and the department received a call, urgent call from the Security Service of Ukraine. I answered, "Hello Igor Stefanovich, please, we've sent a car, we need you to come. We need your consultation." 2001, who am I? Nobody, you see. Yes, that book you're talking about, The Secret of Hypnosis. It's truly a masterpiece. It is 30 years of my life. It's a trilogy. I called it The Nectar of Heavenly Wisdom. And The Secret of Hypnosis is truly a diamond in this crown, in this line. Because besides this diamond, there is another little diamond, which is called In Search of Lost Knowledge. This is all that I visited during this time. So, about 80 points on planet Earth. These are temples, monasteries, meetings with unique people. And thirdly, these are the depths of unknown Sufism, Sufism in its purest form, which I was able to touch. This trilogy, consisting of 3 diamonds, the big one, The Secret of Hypnosis, it is huge and small and even smaller. This is like the foundation which I grew, on which I developed. And the third, In Search of Lost Knowledge, is part of the trilogy, where I found this knowledge. Because anyone can claim to be so great, so serious. But you show me where you got it. Show me the original source. So I'm acting like a true scientist. I'm showing you where I got it. I refer to real countries from which I acquired this knowledge, and real people who gave it to me. And I show how I collected this knowledge, molecule by molecule, from all over the world. Here, behind me, is a map with the points where I've been. So, I've visited about 80 places to date. I lived in Tibet with monks in Shaolin. I lived in India with monks. I lived in Kazakhstan. I lived in Uzbekistan. So I saw it all with my own eyes and interacted with these teachers of wisdom. So that's why the trilogy is surely the pinnacle. This is the pinnacle of my writing and publishing career. The trilogy is available for purchase, and it is on my website too. Everything is open, please. The site is available in Russian, Ukrainian, and English. It's called nectarofwisdom.com. If you're interested, please come and have a view.
I would still to return to talk about the Security Service of Ukraine, but firstly, if I remember correctly, it took 27 years to write this book.
Yes. What makes me special as a magician is that my magic is scientific. I can demonstrate everything. You can touch it, and here's the book.
So, let's back to the Security Service of Ukraine.
The Hypnosis Practicum for security agencies is for those who want to master this art in the security services, and they addressed to me several times. But when they realize it's difficult to master, it can't be learned simply. It takes time, it's energy, intensive knowledge. And then they were not very interested.
Anyway, tell me about the collaboration, so, because you understand, it is extremely interesting.
No, number one is Kuchma. Yes, when somebody arranged an attempt on Yoka life, it means that some people wrote that we will kill you. They stuck some letters on it. In 2001, the Security Service of Ukraine from Donetsk called 8 times, "We have arrived from Kiev, we want to meet with you." I said, no, I'm in class. We will adapt to you, we'll be back after your classes. So, on the 8th try, I say, okay, but I don't need any car. I will come myself. Where are you? Give me the address. They gave me the address and I went. So, they sat me down, we talked. They showed me this text, and I said, don't worry, everything will be fine with Leonid Danilovich. Nobody, guys, this is not magic, they can't do anything. Tell Leonid Danilovich he will live, everything will be fine. This is the first time. Then someone's head was cut off. Oh, a ritual murder. Igor Stefanovich, can you consult? Is this a ritual murder? There were such moments. And they are very well-mannered people and men of great depth. You know, Oleg, I enjoy talking to them sometimes. Why? Because many of them are highly intelligent and stand by their words. That's nice. And the trash, they do not contact me. Because they know that if they contact me incorrectly, I won't talk. You see? To see the whole, you need to be able to go beyond yourself, your experience, your memory, your attitudes and beliefs. This is possible only at the fourth, transcendental level of thinking, while the first three levels of thinking, visual affective, concrete figurative, and verbal logical need to be considered. You just need to switch to one of the four required modes if it is necessary. It is awareness that will allow you to correctly build your entire destiny and design its main stages.
Magician Ingwar. The resort to the daughter from the book, The Secret of Hypnosis Revealed. A practicum for security agencies. Listen, you're saying that in the future, well, again, birth control, mind manipulation, life extension, you know, a rather dark, but also rather unpositive, let's say, scenario. So, where does the religion of the magician is the case of all this? What role can it play, and how can it help?
The place of the religion of the magicians is all good. For modern man, a man should understand that all this is external artificial intelligence. Gadgets, phones, they absorb and catch our attention. And if a person can't live without a phone at least 2 or 3 hours, or better a day, so they're already falling into a trap. That's it. It's called obsession, dependence, total dependence. That's why the religion of magicians builds an inner temple. An inner temple can only be built without gadgets, and psychology must also build the inner temple. But psychology doesn't build this temple. But there is a unique woman. And when I saw her post on a Telegram channel, someone once sent me a link. I subscribed to her, and I saw the post 5 inner supports. I was shocked, my skin crawled. So I don't know how but I have some guesses. She speaks about inner supports through psychology. The woman is Marina Kutepova, Shovkovsky's wife, and as far as I know, everyone knows Shovkovsky. I subscribe to her Telegram channel, and she talks about inner supports. She talks deeply. So, today's person, not only in Ukraine, if they find themselves in this neurotic space, and anyone needs to understand, that an inner temple or inner support is possible only when we are independent of the outside world. It's only forest, it's only the sea, it's only meditation, and it's only solitude. That's how it can help.
Listen, regarding this, you often use terms like transcendental thinking. What is it? Explain for the common person.
It's so simple. That is, the first signal system and the second signal system were discovered by Pavlov, the genius Pavlov. But no one knows that Pavlov met Gurdjieff and even lived in his home in Fontainebleau. When I found out about it, I was shocked. So, Pavlov became Pavlov thanks to George Ivanovich Gurdjieff. This issue is over. The Soviet Union retouched it. They met in 1922, and the Gurdjieff subject, as a representative of the gorgeous Sufism of the Naqshbandi order, is very close, interesting, and profound to me. So Pavlov clearly had a connection to Gurdjieff's mysticism, and Gurdjieff's mysticism is scientific, just like mine, you understand? So the third signal system is what Pavlov, when he was in the Soviet Union, was unable to manifest, but certainly had that thing, the third signal system, which is located above the brain, which is now stylishly called quantum consciousness, quantum transition, and it falls into this category. The first signal system is the senses, the 5 senses: smell, touch, taste, sight, and hearing. The second signal system is speech and thinking, and the third signal system is going beyond the mind, so it is truly transcendental. David Lynch, whom I know well, and they tried to arrange a personal meeting with me, but I said, yeah, probably not, because I was completely absorbed in the teaching in America. That's enough for me. David Lynch is a Hulk person. He is no equal. Why? The only one, his speech, which I saw 2 weeks later when I was living in America, it turned on my mind. So, thanks to this speech, I understood the mentality of Americans who are interested in esoteric. David Lynch did much to advance esoteric literacy in America and the American public. He has traveled to every state, every university, and given public lectures on transcendental meditation. What this transcendental meditation for? There's a colossal level of stress in America, and there's no war. So what's this? Where does the stress come from? Work. So, people run around in circles, they always have a mortgage, official loans and a job. It takes 2 hours or even more to get to the place if work. So the people are always stressed, intense, and there's no such stable rest. David Lynch, with his transcendental meditation, he's a follower of Maharishi Yogi, a leader, and David Lynch put in young people's mind in modern language and taught them how to cope with stress and take care of themselves. Only consciousness will allow you to go into your true mind, your divine I, and become full and individual master of your own destiny. It is only consciousness that can direct your attention to searching for and finding your own unique and inimitable meaning in life.
Magician Ingwar. The resort to the daughter from the book, The Secret of Hypnosis Revealed. A practicum for security agencies.
I'm on the internet. I was afraid for the first 10 days. I was afraid to go outside my apartment in America, because my level of English was -1, not even 0, -1. So, surely, I hired a tutor and studied with him twice a day for 2 months. And after about 2 weeks, my fear went away, so I stopped being afraid. I already started to go outside because I explained myself. I was sitting on the internet, looking at this American webs, and I saw David Lynch. I remembered Twin Peaks. I remember this man. And look, there's a monk nearby. A monk is sitting nearby, and I look, well, I don't understand the text. I look, and a voice tells me that this is very serious, you must remember this, learn it. So I copied it, without understanding a single word. Some translations are consciousness, subconsciousness, awareness, that's it. And then, with the tutor, I began to insist that we should translate this 2-page, 40-minute speech, and that I have it. We translated it for sure, inside a month, I think, and I learned it by heart. Only some words resonated with me, that there are things that are impossible to understand here, right now. I didn't realize it. I thought I could understand everything. And when I worked through this text, I even burst into tears when David Lynch said, "It's impossible to understand this intellectually now. That is, it's impossible to understand this intellectually now. I didn't know, I thought I could understand everything, absolutely everything. There's no such thing, there are no boundaries, I can understand everything. And many people think so, but it is a misbelief. There are things that can't be understood right now, and you have to accept them, which means you need some time, 6 months, a year. How can you understand what America is like if you haven't lived there? It's impossible." Magician Ingwar's mission, purpose, and meaning of life is in the physical and spiritual healing of the world in general, and Ukraine in particular. The fulfillment of this global, universal task of a planetary scale, I see in the creation of the inner temple of the new faith, the religion of the magicians. The religion of the magicians is a religion of awakening, based on a unified synthesis of world spiritual ideals, which Ingwar pieced together in the form of morbid revelations both in the places of power of our planet and during visits to many religious temples and shrines around the world. The fundamental nature of the religion of the magicians is to give a chance to a person to touch the things which are behind our own minds.
Magician Ingwar. From the article, A Characteristic Feature of Today's Ingwar.
David Lynch, through transcendental thinking, through the direction of transcendental thinking, it is very popular in America. I lived there for 2 years, so this topic is very popular.
Popular on the level of Scientology and all that.
But there are pastors there, and the religion of the magicians doesn't need a pastor, because if it's a religion of the magicians, it's already an institution, a cult. Ingvar is against cults.
Listen, as to the religion of the magicians, it sounds like just another sect. How is it different from all the other thousands of gurus, who promise enlightenment for money?
The religion of the magicians is a temple of inner faith, which each person, each individual, must build for themselves. There are no pastors, no apostles, no priests, no churches. There is no Ingvar, there is no need to pay tithes, there is no Sunday Adelaja, there is no Volotka Muntean, there is no Mary Devi Christ, there is not even me, and that is the most main thing. So there is no dependence there, so it is a religion of reason and system, or the religion of the magicians. It is a temple of inner faith, so it is the inner man described in the Bible, the one Christ called to. This is the inner temple, where this inner man lives, who is reincarnated from life to life. That's what the inner temple is, that's what the religion of the magicians is, and only that. There won't be any Bible about the religion of the magicians, because anyone who wants to make money on it should be automatically sent to hell. Automatically. Peoples who want to be followers of this religion must remember the main thing: there is no pastor, there is no one. Ingvar doesn't recommend by my knowledge. Ingvar, on the contrary, is so brazenly and denies some students in training. So they want to pay, and Ingvar says, sorry, I'm busy. Because when I have the chance to spend my time with a student for $100 an hour per lesson or go to walk with my daughter, Ingvar chooses the walking. Do you understand? I have a lot of videos. I'd like people to realize that they're free to use. So, I want to create something that people can come in and gain knowledge from. I want to do that, and you don't have to pay me for it. I don't need money. I didn't come here to make money and deceive into parting with money. I came here for people can use me. I used to say, I want to be burned out for people. But now I want to be burned out for my family, for my children. And even better, I want this burning to use to support peace, understanding in their eyes, in their minds, so that people have a subject for happiness. Because I missed my happiness, you see. There was success, money for me. I really wanted to have succeeded in life.
All the same, I think so. Look, there are 108 types of herbs, jam made from pine cones, and it takes 3 or 4 days to cook. Ingvar, are these real things, or is this just marketing for the money?
These are real things. They don't cost money. Because the person turns to me for help. Let's say he has some kind of serious illness, mental or physical. He pays a certain sum of money, and everything I have to give him for free. It is included in this sum. Oleg, my first patient, settled accounts with me for treatment the cancer with apartments in Kiev. Apartments in Kiev? What difference does it make what I give them? He doesn't have to pay for it. He knows that he should to express his thanks to Ingvar, and the price it is high cost. If we've agreed on a price, then he'll pay. If he can't pay it, but somehow managed to contact me and he knows and I know that he can pay, I will treat him free of cost, but he'll pay me in another way, some kind of work. Maybe he'll dig up my vegetable garden. I have 100 hectares in the Khmelnytsky region.
Well, returning to your resort to your daughter, you say, there are 33 lessons. I'm just reading it all. Igor, well, I won't comment, but I am interested to know. Imagine that, let's say, your daughter or one of your daughters went through all this, went through all the way, did all the homework, and came to the conclusion that it was wrong, or didn't agree with it. Let's say, what would you tell her?
First of all, there are 33 lessons, or 33 steps, or 33 advices, or 33 recommendations. That's right. You can't help but agree with them. How can you dare me that a person has a psyche, a body? You can't help but agree with it. I simply showed her, by means of these 33 advices, everything that every person's life is filled with. And I said, do you want this? Take it. The result will be like this. Do you want this? Take it. If you don't want anything, be a good mother. Maybe you don't need this magic, this esotericism. And that's okay, don't repeat my way. But one daughter, she's a fan of obstetrics and gynecology. I admire how she studies. The second daughter is a fashion designer. You see, she is versed in the clothes. The third daughter is a lively girl, a copy of me. She's lively, she runs around and kicks me in the backside. We fight, you see. Daddy, take that, bang bang bang. I hold her in my arms, like my dad did with me. My fourth daughter, I see her very rarely, and only on social sites. That kind woman, which made me run away to America, bear me this daughter. That's why all my daughters are different. They all have completely different personalities, and I like that, because I have much to offer in terms of praise, and I am strong when it comes to punishing and at the same time cheerful, happy-go-lucky. And then suddenly, I'm gone, you see. I disappear from social sites for 6 months and retreat into myself, you see. Ingvar's first step. The first step is the creation of the conditions for the birth of the magician, Ingvar. So, simply the conditions. This is school, this is the understanding that I want to be a doctor, this is a meeting with the teacher Mikhail Valerievich Pinaev. The second step begins in 1995, when I entered medical institute. Ingvar is young there, a very young boy. He already knows that, yes, that he learned magic at medical institute. He doesn't practice it, but he does go to the mortuary. He communicates with the dead person, you see. He doesn't tell anyone about it. He works round the clocks like a student. He received a title of award holder of the Academy of Medical Sciences of Ukraine in 2001, the highest honor for scientists, especially for a fifth-year medical student. So, the third period, Ingwar leaves Donetsk Medical University and appears in Kyiv in 2004. This is the third period, which runs from 2004 to approximately 2011. So Ingwar is actively involved in publishing. So, Ingwar started to shape like a magician. This is small boy Ingwar you see from 2004 to 2011. From 2011 to 2015. So, to the moment he left Ukraine for America, this is young Ingwar. And when Ingwar returns from America in 2017 and up to now, it is a mature Ingwar. These are the 5 periods of the magician, Ingwar's personal development. Ingwar is different in each of these periods. And his publications reflect these periods of his personal development very clearly. And my followers and students should realize it very clearly. And there's such fat book too, it's called Dialogue with a Magician. It has all these articles in it, from 2005 to 2012, so it's all there, all about Ingwar's becoming. The human psyche can be viewed as a collection of many eyes that replace each other at the helm of the human machine. And this is the main problem of people. Their consciousness is divided between tens, hundreds, and even thousands of different eyes, each of which wants to pull control under. The person does not exist like single human being. There is only this crazy mix of micro-consciousnesses.
The magician Ingwar. From the article, Mental Health. Magic and Psychiatry, Areas of Common Interest. Listen, explain me please, because we've talked about a lot, but for me it's still part of, let's say. To understand how science, medicine, psychology, parapsychology, and magic are combined in your worldview and teachings. So, it would be possible to name one thing, but it's a complex thing. How did you put it all together?
They are united not in my worldview, but in Blavatskaya's formula, which I have transformed into an understanding for anyone who wants to come into contact with me. 4. What are 4 forms? 4 forms are what we are made of. We are all about 4 forms. The body, the psyche, or, better to say, the emotions. Mind and soul, these are the 4 forms.
When we speak about Blavatskaya's 4 forms, it is most likely mean her theosophical model of man, in which consciousness is classified into 7 conceptions. They came to the 4 conceptions of the lower quaternariate, those that are not defined after physical death, the upper triad, immortal principles.
Is the formula for all magic. My magic which I teach is tied to science. Everything I do is tied to science. When we talk about my magic, we talk about a formula. 4 forms on 2 planes, at 2 poles, on 4 levels. 9 degrees in 13 classes. This is the formula that very clearly structures all the magic I teach. This formula requires 10 years of life to master. If someone wants to get a handle on it quickly, I think it could be done in 3 years. If he won't eat, has sex, shit, or pee, then it's possible to understand and receive this within 3 years, if he really gets involved.
These 4 forms are dependent on material existence and disappear after death, unlike the 3 higher principles, which exist independently of bodily existence. Blavatsky tuned the cycles of cosmic evolution through the symbolism of the number 7, 7 root races, 7 stages of the universe, etc. The number 4 in theosophy is often associated with the 4 forms of existence, physical body, astral body, vital energy and desire, or with the 4 lower principles that are subject to birth and death.
This has a direct relationship to the 7-year cycles of 4 times 7, because the formula 28 is equal to 4 times 7. This is the formula given to humanity by Blavatskaya, and she took these things from the sacred scriptures of India. And my formula, the 4 forms I just mentioned, flows from these sources. The only thing Blavatskaya couldn't and didn't want was to explain everything as clearly as I do it now. But she didn't need to do it then. It was another time. She'd already accomplished a great deal. Elena Petrovna. And you say, Igor, why did you mix all this into one thing? Why do you join parapsychology, magic, science together? Because our beings are multi-level, and every level needs its own energy, its own knowledge, do you understand? Especially when you talk about parapsychology, what is parapsychology for you? Firstly, only academic, in other words, scientific parapsychology. Oleg, since 2014, I've been very active in academic parapsychology for 10 years. I'm a fool, a moron. I thought my country needed this. I tried to introduce a system of academic parapsychology into Ukrainian higher education. I failed. I wrote so many letters to the Verkhovna Rada deputies, to Minister Kivit, who was the Minister of Social Policy, Lydia Hrinovich. I have a ton of these correspondences, you know. Today, academic parapsychology studies only 3 areas. We discussed this in an interview in 2017. This is the experience of studying life after death, the first. Then, the interaction of matter and consciousness, that's the second branch. And the third, extrasensory perception, that is, supersensory perception. That's all. This is academic parapsychology. Bring me the money, I'll do it with my hands like this, and I remove an evil eye. This isn't academic parapsychology, it's utter nonsense. That's why my parapsychology is scientific, and it's experimentally confirmed. Moreover, when we talk about parapsychology, and my desire to introduce it, I wrote a textbook on parapsychology, a unique one in Ukrainian and in Russian. We are talking about Ukraine, so the Ukrainian version is a unique book. I have developed a plan. Everything is ready to create a department of parapsychology, but no one needs it. I teach all my parapsychology experience today separately, to private individuals for a fee. This course costs $1,000. You can complete it in 3 or 4 months, or in a month if a person wants to speed up, and this is only on a private individual basis. You can watch this entire course on my website. The video is called The Gates of the Subtle World. So today, it is available online. We sell it for $150. There are 5 lessons of 2.5 hours, and we have collected the quintessence of all parapsychology in these 5 lessons with a running time of 2.5 hours, and this can be seen on my YouTube channel. The unique feature of my method of psychotherapy is that it works with consciousness. It's the highest level. I've never seen anyone reach this level. I was able to reach this level only thanks to the geniuses who have always stood behind me. Roshkovsky on the left, Kashpirovsky on the right. When I talk about Roshkovsky, I mean Grigory Vsevolodych Roshkovsky. He is now almost 80 years old. And on the right is Anatoly Mikhailovich Kashpirovsky, who is now almost 90 years old. These are 2 giants. They know each other. They don't communicate with each other. They don't talk. But they remember how they interacted very well, how they influenced the Soviet Union. When we talk about my method of psychotherapy, we're talking about my method of working with consciousness. And the most important thing here is for the client I work with as a psychotherapist to understand what consciousness is. Moreover, for them to expand that consciousness, this is the first and most important aspect of my method. Next, he needs to condense it, make it more detailed. Next, he needs to highlight it. And next, he needs to be able to transfer it to any point in space. That's the unique feature of my method, if say by simple words. It's important to note that hypnosis is a part of psychiatry and psychotherapy, making it a distinct discipline. Hypnosis is a quick, surgical approach to the soul, so I consider it very important if you practice it correctly. There are many varieties of hypnosis, but we're talking about classical hypnosis, in other words, scientific hypnosis. And when we talk about hypnosis, it's important to always understand that for some reason, everyone, without exception, believes that only Ericksonian hypnosis, the highly hyped and promoted version, exists. And there is neuro-linguistic programming too. But neuro-linguistic programming and Ericksonian hypnosis are a far cry from today's classical hypnosis. Classical hypnosis, on the other hand, is a completely different school, with scientific criteria for veracity. So what are the special aspects of Ericksonian hypnosis? Non-directiveness, or the suggestion, well, put your hand there and this might happen. You will do this. The classic, do this. Put your hand there, come in, relax. There is a commanding tone in classical hypnosis, so the classic is a command, and Ericksonian hypnosis is a suggestion, well, do this. If you don't want to, don't do it. But you will still relax. If you want to relax, relax. If you don't want to, don't relax. But you will still relax. It has an effect, a good effect, but this effect is unstable. And if the only one hypnosis is used, The focus of my scientific interest is purely the hypothalamo-hypophyseal system. I clearly see, feel, know, and am confident that the hypothalamus is the attachment point of the soul. I have no doubt about it. And when I was studying at the medical university in the histology department, Barinov still heads it, Eduard Fedorovich heads the histology department. So, we were told, and I located an old document, 70% nuclei of the hypothalamus were known in 119 and 95. Now, in 20 and 25, 200 hypothalamic nuclei have already been identified. I met with my friend Goshenko, my supervisor, a professor to whom I am very grateful. Professor Nasibulin, a pathologist, he specializes in the brain and so on, and he said, Igor. And when he learned I placed my stake on unknown nuclei in the hypothalamus, which, if to activate them, would trigger miraculous healings. Because Kasparovsky calls it the internal pharmacy of the body, and I call it that the body in the hypothalamus, through these nuclei, activates something that begins to produce something. But it's basically the same thing, what I'm saying. I just want the substrate, the anatomical substrate, where this hypothalamus is. And this Nasibulin confirms that in the 70s when he was studying, and I knew about it in the 1995, there were about 50 nuclei known. So I believe that a scientific breakthrough is possible only through in-depth research into the hypothalamus. So what kind of scientific breakthrough? What does a scientific breakthrough mean? Is there no scientific breakthrough? Yes, there is. I mean that a scientific breakthrough is at the join of the soul, the study of soul and body. And this join, it is now made up exclusively and only by the Dalai Lama, because the Dalai Lama said, the 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, the leader of all Buddhists, he said that, and he speaks about this, if our Buddhist doctrine does not correspond to today's data, he says, the first one, who sattered to change the centuries' doctrines, 1,000-year-old doctrines, they should be rewritten because we must keep step with science. This is what the Dalai Lama says. This is how he understands it. So in Buddhism, I'm interested in reincarnation firstly, and how consciousness is reborn from body to body. I'm telling you that it's possible to predict where a person will be reborn in this life. So it's possible to calculate this today. It's very difficult, but it's possible, because scientific or academic parapsychology possesses this data today. Thanks to Ian Stevenson, about whom I speak extensively in academic language and write in a book called A Manual of Parapsychology for Universities, so that they can introduce a special course as an additional course, an elective. That's what I wanted.
Igor, in the context of the hypothalamus, tell us how your own method of parapsychology, psychopractice, and psychotherapeutic practice correlates with your work on the hypothalamus.
It's very simple. When I see a hopeless case, for example a wealthy man or someone else brought him to me and can pay for my consultation, or brought his wife or even a relative to see me. He's suffering from hard depression. Well, the hardest, Well, the person has lost everything. How do I work? I know that the hypothalamus is a unique, pea-sized spot that can somehow structure its cells and form new nuclei to treat a specific disease. But how do I activate the hypothalamus? How do I get it to listen and start working? So Kasparovsky calls this like creating specific programming situations. Kasparovsky says, Igor, I've seen it many times when I arrive at the poultry farm after a performance, when some big boss calls me. Anatoly Mikhailovich says, one day they brought me to a poultry farm, and the hens lay eggs once every 2 days, once a day at that poultry farms. Kasparovsky says, would you like me to show you a trick? What trick? I can make your hens lay eggs twice a day. That's impossible, Anatoly Mikhailovich. What are you talking about? And he says, well, okay, I'll do it. Okay, we agree. How? You need to create a programming situation. That means you need to artificially create night and day for them. We have 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. But you need to create 6 hours a day, artificial darkness, then night, then day. And as soon as this cycle changes, it won't be day-night in 24 hours, but day-night, and they'll lay eggs. Most likely that the animal's cycle is like so. They did it, and the hens started laying eggs twice a day. This director comes in, Anatoly Mikhailovich, the hens are laying eggs twice a day, but the shells are a little thinner. There's a little less calcium. If you want to study the universe, study man first, because man is the universe in miniature.
Magician Ingwar. From the article, A Characteristic Feature of Today's Ingwar. Igor, I also wanted to ask you about the people you look. First of all, what do you think about Zelensky?
I've always defended Zelensky, and there's this team. Oleg Muzyi, Ihor Naida and Konstantin Naduti. I really like these people. They came after the Maidan. At least Musi headed the Ministry of Health. They're unique people, kind-hearted people, from another planet. Babeshka is near them too. So, they always slag off Zelensky, but I defended him because I say, the roads, look, I'm shocked by what he did to the roads. We're talking about pre-war times. Now I see that there are a lot of negative. I don't know what he feels, but I'll never forget the speech by Sofia Fedina and Marussia Zvoroboy. I heard how they curse him out. I was shocked that people would allow such things to be said about the president, not Zelensky, but the president of my country. I'll never forget their address to him. So, maybe he decided to bend everyone over, and he probably got so into his role that he shut everyone up, and then he had to shut the oligarchs up in the next stage. I liked that the channels were gone, STB channel was gone, so these nonsense things don't appear on STB channel anymore. I know this won't last long, that it will all come back, the channels will exist, but he really shut them up. You all probably see only the bad in him, but I try to seek out the best. You see? I always see the best in the world, Kashpirovsky taught me that. It's probably wrong, perhaps, but I see the best in him. And he did the right thing by closing the channels, because a channel like Inter, Danilevich, who was trashing me, you know, there's such guy, Oleg Gusev, he warned me, he said, Igor, I'm friends with Danilevich, we're fucking great guys. I called Danilevich when I knew that you were coming. Danilevich said, Oleg, tell your Bombushkar not to come to us, because we'll wax him, we'll abuse him. They shouldn't say such words to me, we'll do something with you, because I stuff it, you understand? I'm not afraid of anyone because I haven't stolen anything from anyone. How can it be that Danilevich warned me that we'll be abusing you, and I'm supposed to be afraid? If I know that here and there, they're looking me, and they know I don't overstep the bounds of decency. I came there with confidence. I didn't know Danilevich could say such nonsense, you know, that he could be a prostitute. I didn't know that. So I went, I made my speech, it ended in a fight, but they wanted me to take a knife. If I'd taken the knife with me, they insisted I take it, swear on blood that I was telling the truth. So, I took the knife and they said, no. If I'd had a knife, I would have stabbed those guards who were holding me, you understand? That's why they got a point in time that at least he shouldn't have the knife, because he is uncontrollable, you see? Uncontrollable. And now there's Marathon only. Guys, watch Marathon, listen to the news, who killed whom, what exploded, how many drones. That's more important.
So, in general, who are the people you follow these days? Who inspire you? I remember, it used to be even Leonid Chernovetsky.
I really like Leonid Chernovetsky, I really like him. I watch him on YouTube sometimes. I really like Itzhak Pentasevich. I really like him. I really like Zhenya Chernyak. I like Zhenya Chernyak because he's also shut a lot of people up. He shut Rybakov up, that famous Russian businessman who attacked him. There was something in the interview, you sell vodka. What are you talking about? What vodka? Are drugs better than vodka? And then I see 5 years have passed and Rybakov is already sat like, Yevgeny, yes you. That's why I like Chernyak. A hard nut guy. I see that he's helped a lot of people over these 7 or 10 years. That's his big money. And how they shut Balashov up, you see? Genchik. I'm already starting to worry about Genchik. Gina, where are you going? Where are you going? Whom are you attacking? That's why I like Chernyak, I like Itzhak Pentasevich, I like Leonid Chernovetsky. And so I support Kutepova's channel. A very profound thought, Oleg. A very profound thought. And that's all. I try to distance myself from the internet, but work forces me to spend some time there. But my personal feature is that I can put my phone down and not touch it for a day.
Listen, tell me again, you have a lot of resources, products, tell people what is actual now, in 2025, where people can find information, where people can buy products, what information, what products, what is available and what is not.
Oleg, first of all, I'm not a businessman. I don't sell, and when it comes to sales, I'm more of a giver, you understand? But I'm an open person, and I have a presence on social media. I have a Facebook page, a website, and these herbal teas. Now I want to go global, because a teen can treat cancer with complex therapy, meaning not only a teen, but in complex therapy. So, the oncologist surgeon performs the operation, tumor removal, chemotherapy, powerful chemotherapy. The radiation therapist includes radiation, immunotherapy, and now he's taking a teen. But there was a case, for the first time, when a woman with stage 4 cancer, colorectal cancer, had her tumor removed and was told to start chemotherapy immediately, as soon as you start walking, and radiation. They came to me and said, Ingvar, we refuse. We won't kill mom. How much time does she have left? Give us something more powerful. We're going to give up on chemotherapy. It's our responsibility. Don't interfere, give us something else. I gave a teen Oleg. She lived for 3.5 years and died from complications of COVID. And the surgeon who operated on her said, this is impossible, this can't be, this is impossible. But I demanded tests every 6 months. I am such kind of person. Magnetic resonance tomography, please. No metastases, stage 4 cancer, colorectal, and that's true.
Listen, I have one last question. If you could change one thing in your life, something global, something immeasurable, it doesn't matter at all, change it for 100%, what would it be?
No doubt. I have an answer to this question. I would change my thinking, and my entire life is built on changing human thinking, raising it to a higher level. It's possible. So, Oleg, a transformation of consciousness through the strengthening of thinking. The mystery is in it. How is this possible? An inner temple needs to be built, inner supports. As Kutepova says, it is clear, and already psychology, it will reach, it is slowly getting there, but a special psychology, special you see, specific.
This was another unique and extremely interesting meeting. I really see, again, I'm glad to see, that despite of all these years, you haven't changed, I mean you look the same.
I become a bit old and become bit old.
As they say, there are many here. Actually, that's it. So, Ingvar, I was very glad to meet you. I'm grateful that you're paying attention to me for the second time, meeting with me, and I'm sure our viewers find this extremely interesting. So let's do this more often.
You're a unique guy. You have sparkling eyes. Your eyes remind me Aristovich's eyes. You all have sparkling eyes. And they're enchanting, alluring, in the best sense of the word, yes.
Thank you, teacher. It was nice to meet you.